Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for The Cuckoo's Fiancé, Chapter 68. When we last left our heroes, I was introduced to the cast, reintroduced to the Umino family, and she was kind of met up with the parents, and then Sachi took her to Nagi's place, where she confessed her desire to marry him still. Having said that, she quickly walked away. Nagi chased after her, revealed that he has a fiance and a girl he likes and nothing else. Don't need to talk about anything else. And Ai kind of seems to accept that, but asked Nagi to take her home. They stopped by a convenience store that used to be a candy shop they loved as kids. And we learn about her, like, all-encompassing desire for this incredible bouncy ball that she never won, and she cried for a month when she didn't get it, and then she directly compares that to the feeling of losing Nagi, and saying that she won't lose this time. Which there's some don't treat your romantic partners like bouncy balls going on in the background there. I'm not quite sure if that's what Yoshikawa is going for, but again, keeping my eye on that. And yeah, all that being said, let's jump right on into 68th Foul. Just who does he take after, I wonder? Our picture here is of Sachi at like a riverside tossing Shoba up in the air. Ai-chan's returned and confessed. What do Nagi's parents think? And we open at the Umino restaurant as Nagi is sort of leaning over a table with a bowl of food. We hear this thud, thud, shk, clink, clunk sound effect as Nagi just listens. I'm not quite sure how to read that face in this situation. And then he just sighs. I'm guessing the sound effects we're hearing is Papa Yohei cooking. Because we see in the background him like shk, 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 as he peels a potato. Nagi's face, if this is right after last chapter, I'm guessing Nagi's face is like, what the fuck have I gotten into now? And Yohei asks him, what's wrong, Nagi? You come home for the first time in a while and you ain't even gonna eat? And Nagi just like, very glum, just says, yeah. And Yohei looks at him. You just came back from walking Ai-chan home, right? So yeah, this is right afterwards. It's been a while since you last saw each other. How was it? And Nagi just sort of says, well, about that. It looks like the reason she came back to Japan was so she could marry me. And I love Yohei's body language there. There's something so funny about it. You just kind of like, there's a certain slackness to it. I'm not quite sure if it's meant to be in reaction to Nagi's statement, but if it is, it's very funny. But then he just asks, is that what she told you? Yeah. And Nagi has a little bit of a blush at that point. But anyway, Yohei walks over, picks up the bowl of food that was at Nagi's table, and places it down somewhere else. And then just, he yeets the table! He just tosses it up! He just wanted to protect the bowl! What a king! What a fucking king! Yohei deserves the world, he's the best character. And Nagi is just stunned. Huh? And it falls down behind Yohei as he's just, huh? And Yohei shouts at him, yo heave ho! Huh? And Yohei just slugs him, which is not a good thing to do to your son, but whatever. Shocking Nagi. Nagi hits the ground. He kind of like rubs the wound. What was that for? And Yohei starts cracking his knuckles, going to his old like delinquent past. You call yourself a man? You've got a fiancé. You're a fine piece of shit, huh? I guess Yohei just doesn't know about Hiro then. And Nagi kind of like panics. Wait, you got it all wrong! And just then, two customers walk in. Hey, are you still open? And they see the like devastation as the tables are all knocked over. Nagi's kind of like hunched over as he's gotten up. And they close the door. Business as usual, I see. Where's Namie-chan at? The neighborhood association, maybe? And Nagi yells at Yohei, you asked the question! Now you won't hear me out? And Yohei snaps, if you want to resist, let your fist do the talking. And Nagi tries to go on the attack. I thought it was going to work very well. It's not resistance, it's an explanation! And he punches Yohei, and Yohei has just caught the fist. And Yohei smirks at him. All you do is study. You taking me lightly? And Nagi kind of grits his teeth and starts like trying to slam it on Yohei, and Yohei just catches every single fist. And with a single whack, just sends Nagi flying. Ha! Nagi hits the tables. Grr! The customers peek back in. Eep! Nagi-kun's not done yet! And then Yohei suddenly comes to a realization. Ah, crap. I totally forgot. And he takes off something. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be. It like falls to the ground. Oh, they're fucking training weights, like he's Rock Lee or something. And I love the detail. We see Yohei's feet. He's wearing Crocs. My man is wearing Crocs. I was training, see? So I've had these weights on the whole time. And Nagi just kind of starts to panic. Alright, let's go! And Nagi gets back up, and they're about ready to continue the fight, as suddenly, I think like a bag hits the ground. Hey! And everyone turns around, and it's Namie, ready for her own fight. What's this mess all about? And after she's gotten done beating the shit out of Yohei and Nagi, alright, I get it. Now put everything back the way it was. And as they sort of sit there in their injuries for a second, the two of them sit up. Umino family motto! And Yohei chimes in, always listen to mom! And Namie just like walks past them. Just get on with it, okay? Yes, ma'am! And then Namie sits down and says, and Nagi, your mother didn't raise you to be the kind of kid who makes people cry. Who did he... Did I cry last chapter? I don't really remember that happening. But Nagi's kind of stunned there. Oh, and he flashes back to the fallout of the Super Ball incident. That's right. And he thinks of Eyes. I give up. At the time, I couldn't do anything. But this time, I have to tackle it head on. And Nagi nods. I understand. And Namie smiles at him. And Yohei, as he's like cleaning the tables. But you're a real smooth one, aren't you, Nagi? And Namie, almost as like an aside, drops our title line. Isn't he? Just who does he take after, I wonder? Is there really, really casual... Like, normally the title lines are, like, big deals. But not here at all. Is it me? And then Yohei, it's gotta be me. And Nagi, as he's sweeping, is just, please stop. And then he steps outside. But now that I think about it, and looks up into the stars, there are 4 now? My first instinct wants it to be he has 4 parents you could take after now. But I don't like the number 4, including romantic interests, because that means you-know-who is being counted as a romantic interest, which I know she will be, but I'm still not happy about it. And we have what I guess is our money shot of Hiro, Erika, Sachi, and I up in the sky like constellations. Umino-kun, Nagi-kun, Nagi-kun. Interestingly, there was the whole thing last chapter about Nagi, or maybe 66, Nagi-kun versus Nagi-chan. And I calls him Nagi-kun at first and then swaps back to Chan, as I recalled. But here he remembers I saying Nagi-kun, which is interesting. Either way, any reminder of Sachi as part of the romantic pairing is an instant minus for me. And Nagi thinks for a sec before he kind of blushes. Wait, does this mean my time is now? And he kind of stops himself. Nah, can't be. And Yohei approaches him. By the way, Nagi. And he kind of goes up to apologize. Looks like I jumped to conclusions this time around. Sorry I punched you. My bad. Nagi looks at him. And just deadpan. What do you mean this time? And Yohei laughs. Teehee. And then the customers finally come in. Hey, mind if we order now? Please go ahead. And Yohei turns to Nagi. Nagi, why don't you help out around here once in a while? What? And then we come back to the Nagi Erika house. As Nagi walks in, I'm back. And Erika stops him. Coming home awful late, aren't you? Well, I was back home. And he goes up the stairs and Erika stops him. Wait. Nagi-kun, we need to talk. Noticing his closeness to the four girls, Nagi re-examines the situation. Next time Erika gets mad? Okay. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. I feel like a less than, what's the word I'm looking for here? A negative reading of this chapter could be looking at it as like a symptom of child abuse, given that, you know, looking at like the fight, looking at like the injuries on Nagi compared to even just the fact that Yohei is fighting Nagi at all. But, you know, even if we were to treat them as equals, the fact that Yohei is like perfectly fine and Nagi is bruised and battered by the end, definitely doesn't look great. And I mean, there's a distinct difference in the way Yoshikawa depicts the injuries from the Yohei fight. Like realistic, you know, dirt and bruising, and I don't think blood, but like it looks more realistic than, say, when Namie comes in and the two of them have like comic lumps on their head. But I do think that in the end, I'm not super cold on it. Just because I think that the Nagi Yohei fight is still in the same kind of vein as Namie coming in and just stopping them. Even if Yoshikawa kind of depicts it a bit more literally, I guess. Like it's all very shonen. It's all very shonen. Like it's a bit more shonen battle manga than Cuckoo always gets at, but it still doesn't feel like it still feels like comedy. And so I don't know. I don't think it's, you know, someone on my 65 video asked what I thought of the idea of Erika as a gaslighter, which I thought was ridiculous, and I don't think that's right at all. But it kind of puts me into the frame of like, are people looking at this manga as a lot more like these are just horrible people, and they're doing like applying it to real world situations, and I think the manga isn't really doing. I don't know if the connection between those 2 points tracks for anyone besides me, but I think those are both kind of incorrect arguments. The gaslighting thing especially, I do not think Erika is even vaguely gaslighting anyone. That's, I think, kind of patently absurd. But here, no offense to the commenter, but like, I think gaslighting requires an intentionality that Erika does not have at all. But here, I think it's a comic bit. It's, you know, the same thing is, it's like, a part of me wishes it was portrayed a bit more slapsticky, so the slapstick violence aspect of it would land. Because I think people are understandably more comfortable with, would be more comfortable with this fight as slapstick than as, like, you know, a father actually throwing his son around the restaurant. It's portrayed with a realism that makes it more uncomfortable than it should be. Though I will admit, when the training weights gag happens, it's, you know, if there was any doubt this is meant to be a parody of like shonen battles, I mean, dropping the training weight is sort of the thing that only happens in you know, Lee versus Gaara, or like super intense martial arts fights like that. So I think it's very clearly like a parody of that sort of vibe. And I think it works for the most part. I don't think you were supposed to read Yohei as like genuinely abusive. Though it's very much is, I feel, a like your mileage may vary kind of thing. But anyway, we have this bit of Namie kind of telling Nagi to not let Ai cry. Which is an interesting thing, I think. In that, like, how, A, you can't really control people's reactions, and the only way he could, like, definitively 100% stop her from crying is if he marries her. He might be able to, like, there might be a way he could reject her and she doesn't cry, but that's a maybe. And the fact that when Nagi thinks about Namie's line there, he goes back to the Super Bowl scene, which is connected to him through the Sharon Mine Beloved line. I don't know. I don't know. Like, what is he going to do to not be the kind of person who makes people cry? And also, the fact that he's not really attracted to Ai, he's attracted to consciously Hiro, and as a Nagi Eri shipper, subconsciously Erika. I don't know. Anyway, Nagi's increasing comfort with Sachi as a romantic interest is still just really, really bad. That's not going to change anytime soon. At least until we have until the series is starting to wrap up, and there's like a definitive Sachi loses chapter. Anyway, one more thing going back to the fight as an element of not really being written as a parent-child thing, but as two, like, shonen characters, is this apology bit feels very much like, it doesn't feel like the kind of thing a father says to his son after what we see, if we're supposed to take that fight seriously, after that happens. It feels like kind of shonen, like, you know, if two characters, like Natsu and Gray, have, like, sparred a little bit, and it's a bit of a misunderstanding, and then the misunderstanding is cleared out, and they might apologize for each other. Natsu and Gray might not quite work for that metaphor. Now that I think about it a little harder, I can't really see either of them apologizing to the other, but you get my general point. I hope. And the fact that it ends in a gag is kind of, yeah, this is sort of heightened comedy, don't take this too seriously, kind of vibes. And maybe no one is taking this seriously. I kind of hope no one is taking this seriously, but there's no way of knowing until I drop the video. Anyway, the chapter ends on something with Erika. He needs to talk about something, most likely, given how recent Ai's appearance is, it has to do with Ai. You haven't seen Erika at all since Nagi walked out to chase after Ai, so it almost certainly has to do with Ai. But yeah, she's mad about something, according to the little blurb there. Presumably, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Is it Nagi runs off after Ai, and she thinks that he's actually in love with Ai, or something I haven't even thought of yet? I have no idea. Only time will tell. We'll have to wait until next week for that. So that's all I gotta say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. You know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!